Do you have the easiest job in show business? It has to be.
You know, I will say physically, yes. Mentally though, it is a challenge. I will say. This is the first time I've ever done a role where I have no scene partner. It's just me and the audience the entire time, essentially. And there's one little interaction I have with a sentinel that comes into the scene, but it's more challenging than I thought it was going to be to, kind of maintain that character and relationship with essentially a spotlight blinding you in the face the entire time while you're trying not to blink.
Can the audience ever turn on you? Do you ever think, "Oh my God, I lost him"?
The role is so well written, and I've been given some really great freedom to bring some newness into it. In other words, not really necessarily having to do a Jonathan Groff impersonation, where the audience is on board the whole time, and they're also surprised and delighted by the kind of the differences that I bring into the role, I think.
How many minutes are you actually on stage?
I have decided not to count because I don't want to upset the rest of the cast, I don't think, but I think I've heard it's somewhere around, well, as King George, I think it's somewhere around 11 or 12 minutes. And then I do come back out, which not a lot of people know this, but the king also comes back out in this, the parchment look that everyone has at the end of the show to watch, essentially from obedient servant to the rest of the show, which is about 20-25 minutes.
So what do you do in the backstage? Are you just sitting around like knitting or what?
Oh gosh, yeah. There's been everything from FaceTiming with my daughter. I try to stay out of the way. Whatever I am doing, I try to stay out of everyone else's way so that I'm not a distraction. But yeah, it can get a little boring.
So do you think about, I wish I were playing Hamilton. I wish I were playing Burr. I mean, do those things come into mind or not?
Surprisingly, no, they don't. I mean, those are incredible roles. And the when you come on a stage and the immediate reaction just by your presence is thunderous applause and cheers, I don't think it really gets much better than that. And then the challenge becomes, I better I better honor that and give them what they're putting out.
Yeah, when did you see it? Did you see it early on when it was just starting, or had it been around for a while?
So actually, the first time that I was able to see the show, that I could afford to see the show, it was actually cheaper for me to fly to Chicago and see my very good friend Andrew Call play King George. Um, this would have been pre-pandemic. I want to say 2018. I want to say is when this happened. And yeah, it was, believe it or not, it was still cheaper to do all that and than it
Wow.
was to see the show on Broadway. So
Were you bowled over by it? Did you say, I haven't seen anything like this in a long time?
I had heard the album. Obviously I had really fallen in love with the music and the storytelling just through the audio interpretation, but seeing it live on stage and seeing the kind of organism that is the ensemble and the production itself and the dancing and just, I mean, it just you just don't stop looking and just appreciating. So yeah, it blew me away.
I was one of those ones who spent way too much money because I had to see the original cast. I was like
Of
determined.
course.
And you got in that theater and you felt like I am at something very important and I'm not sure what it is. But then you start hearing that dun 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 dun, dun, the beginning part, and it
Hmm.
just blows you away. And I
Yeah.
must admit, I haven't really seen anything like that since. And I don't know if it was just because of this whole deal, if what it was, or if that's something that we're just waiting for. We want another. I can't figure it out. But
You
there's
know, I
something
think
about Hamilton.
I think it's a combination of a lot of different factors. First, just the writing itself is just it's brilliant. It is there are no shortage of earwigs. It is the show is extremely well constructed, but also culturally and even I would go as far to say politically, and where we've been in these last 10 years. There is so much in this show that is an affirmation of the struggles of immigrants, and in this country there's also this kind of this lovely reminder of how this country was built, and that it really is a communal effort, so I think that feeling that everyone has, and what you may be describing, is a combination of all those things. It's a reminder of why America is America, and how we should be honoring that original intention. And we don't seem to be currently.
Yeah.
No matter what side of the aisle you're on, I don't think anybody thinks that we are, necessarily right now.
How heavy is the crown?
It was heavy the first few weeks. And the cape is also very heavy. And funny little story. Our first performance ever in front of an audience. I'd only had the crown on a couple of times because my microphone is also housed in the crown.
Oh no.
Yeah, and so I was still getting used to the set and where I enter from, and maneuvering around people, and I walked on the stage and there was this beam that I wasn't aware of how short it was, and it knocked the crown right off my head. And it was for I Know Him, so for the last, my last moment in the show, really. And so of course, it crashed on the ground, and the whole audience gasped. And so I just picked it up and had a little Hamlet moment with my crown, and like sang to it and pet it and stuff. And it was so I think there's a special relationship with the crown. It is heavy. I think it becomes a little bit of a character in itself, because it kind of, it dwarfs your face and your presence a little bit. Yeah.
I noticed too in one of the pictures that you have like several versions of the jacket. You have several jackets. Do you sweat through those suckers so that you need more than one in a day or what?
I only have one jacket. I'm
But
trying to think.
there were like three on a rack, three red ones on a rack. Is that for other people who fill in for you, or is it
Yes, those are for the understudies. Yes,
okay? So
yes,
it's not
yes.
like, boy, I'm going to sweat this one out. We're going to have another one. We need it.
I think if anybody else in the cast heard me say that I was sweating during the show, they'd probably have something to say about it. They'd be like, really? I should probably go to the doctor in that case,
We're killing you. Well, that's what happens at that point.
Yeah,